Good morning this morning. I love muffins.
Good morning.
And good morning, my peeps in cyberspace. On behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank you for the outpouring of love and support and cards and flowers and fruit baskets and extremely generous donations to all paths to God. When it comes right down to it, what else matters but love? And all paths to God shows up in a big way when somebody's going through a challenge in their lives. It's one of the things I'm very proud of being a part of. So what's more important than love? The love we give and the love we receive. And my father, as many of you know, was the ultimate example of the love muffin. He was a very kind and easy and flexible and joyous man. If you asked him any time how he was, his response always was, if I got any better, they'd make a law against it. He was never angry. I'm 69 years old, I've never seen my father have an anger outburst. He was never moody or demanding or unappreciative right up to his very last breath. The last morning of consciousness, Denise walked in the room and he opened his eyes and gave her a big smile and was like, oh, hello, Denise, you sweetie pie. One of the last interactions he had. One of the last things he said to me was, well, when this is all done and over, you won't have to wonder whether you did enough for me. But even if you've done all you can do, even if you're prepared, you're never really ready for such a loss. There's a giant hole where his love used to be. There's no doubt that love was his defining characteristic, was his legacy. And it echoes through the universe. And no one can change the sound of an echo. What a mark, what a soul signature to leave in the universe, the echo of love. So again, I thank my friends and my family for support. This is yet another time that I'm reminded that this truth journey doesn't promise or necessarily make the pains of life easier. It just makes the promise of peace and of love part of the equation. I'm reminded that as we walk this spiritual enlightenment journey, that it's not one where once we get across the finish line, we reach back and help others cross. It's the type of journey that we reach out to each other en route and work our way forward and onward together. What's the saying? We're all just walking each other home. As I said before, when it comes right down to it, what is more important than love? Love is our nature. It's not necessarily our talent or our skill, but it is our nature. But when love is present as our skill, as our choice, as our behavior, as our activity, it expands and it multiplies in people and experiences all around us, through us, and for us. For my father, love for everyone and everything seemed to come naturally. And it was very evident that love flowed back to him. Just looking at his last couple weeks of life, he was fine. He was fine, up, engaging, playing games, whole family visiting. He had what we thought was a little TIA, a little mini stroke, which affected his speech and his left side of his body. Jesus, seems like overnight he got better and was back out playing games and talking and interacting. And just 1 week, literally 1 week before he passed, he started getting sick and stopped eating and stopped drinking and was weaker, had more difficult time getting up. And at that time you're scurrying around trying to figure out what you can do, what type of services you can provide. And everybody says when you go scurrying for them, it's way too late, right? You should have had them all in place, and we did have hospice in place. But as his love and law of attraction would have it, my brother's son was dating this lovely lady who introduced herself as Diana, Princess Diana, so you would remember her name. She is an A++ wonderful young woman who's running a business out in Seattle and expanding into this area. She lives in St. Pete to provide in-home care services for elders, seniors, people with any type of challenging condition, really. Well, she was on her doorstep in a minute. Hired somebody from Seattle who got on an airplane on Saturday, met with us Sunday, and started work at her house on Monday for my father, and she was a delightful, absolutely delightful person. She attended to absolutely anything without being asked. When I went out in the kitchen and I saw her cleaning the grease over the stove and the little magnets, I went, oh my God, this is a winner. I love when people see details and don't have to wait to be, would you do this, would you do this? It wasn't on the list, so this isn't getting done. She just was a loving and a compassionate person. She knew how to be present and how to disappear into the background when that was appropriate. So one of the reasons I bring that up is I want to help these people. So if you have a need or know somebody who needs a need for in-home care, they were significantly less costly than any other possible resource in this area, and they were A+ above everyone. So please let me know if you find yourself in that situation. So my father just drew love, and when you're thinking circumstances wouldn't work out because of timing, and it didn't matter. They just worked out and fell into place for him. Love came naturally, and it came back to him naturally. For me, I'm still a little bit of a work in progress. And I, more often than I'd like to admit, beat myself up about being a work in progress. So I welcome all the love and support I can get. Especially as I manifest the things that I don't want in life. Because my couple weeks went with, the foot since August. I've been waiting for surgery. So I finally got a local surgeon and went to him, and he started out by going, wow, that's messed up. That really needs to be fixed. But I just got terminated, so I can't do it. But I'll refer you to somebody I know and like. So I went there, and he has me on a 2-month waiting list. And then the next morning I got up and slipped and hurt my other foot and ended up in the ER because I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk on either foot. And I'm going, why me? Why am I attracting this to me? You know how that feels when you get in that space?
But it wasn't broke. Yay.
This is why you have community. So yeah, and then I went to turn my computer on. BitBlocker P code needed to proceed. No idea what that is. Done a lot of research over the week, but the long and the short of it is, that computer needed to be set back to manufacturer specs. There was no way to get into it, and I lost 2 years of work. 2 years of work. And the process was, I called Geek Squad and explained, can you help me? Yes. So I drove all the way to Brandon. You know what a lovely drive it is to Brandon, right? Went in and sat down, and I explained to him. I looked for the code in my account and went in and I sat down. He got on a computer. He went into my Microsoft account, looked, said, there's no code. No, nothing we can do. I said, you got to be kidding me. I talked about this. I drove an hour up here. There's nothing you can do. I drove home in a very loving and happy attitude in the 4 o'clock traffic. So I tried every fix on the internet, and then I called the Geek Squad back and said, so, what I want from you, please, don't tell me yes unless you absolutely know yes. I'd rather hear, I don't know, or I'm not sure. But what I'd like to know is if I have the hard drive taken out of this computer, can the data then be taken off of it? Sure, we can do that. Now, it's got this little BitLocker key, whatever it is, and I don't have a code. No, absolutely. So I drove up to Brandon and sat down and said, I'd like the hard drive taken out so we can buy the BitLocker. It can't be done. It's like, really? I mean, am I on Candy Camera or something? I mean, it's just for real? Yes. So all they can do is set it back. So I bought an extra hard drive and I saved that one just in case a miracle wants to produce itself. But now that they stripped mine back, I need data on it. So I needed it from my old computers. And guess what? I didn't have my old computer with me because they could get it off the hard drive. So the next day, I had to drive up and give them the other computer so they could transfer data. And I said, please tell me you can do it today. I'd be glad to wait. Please, please, please. They said, well, it'll be 4 or 5 hours. Please tell me you'll do it today. They'll do it today. All right, things are finally working my way. 5 minutes later, I'm so sorry. Our tech had a family emergency and he had to leave. There'll be one back later tonight. I'm like, why? Why? Why do we get in that? And don't we have more of a tendency to get in that when we're already vulnerable?
Yeah.
And our heart's already broken and we're already struggling with, why is that? Why is that? It's not the circumstances. It's the beating ourselves up. It's the why, what's wrong with me, what am I doing wrong? It's the meaning and the emotion, the explanation that we put, the response that we put to the situation. The situation itself, if you think about it, hey, I had a couple hours in a car listening to my book. What's the difference between that and pulling up a lawn chair and sitting down with a book? That's a pretty nice thing. And we were in Brandon. We went to see our friend Diane and got to visit her, which I didn't see how we were going to fit in it. See, there's so many potential positive aspects of what's going on at any given time in our life. But when we get lost in that place of, woe is me, and why me? We are using this presence and this power in the universe to create exactly the circumstances we do not want. So from my father, it just came naturally. I don't know how he got to that stage in his life, that he was just that peaceful in the midst of storms. He was a role model for sure. For me, I'm a work in progress. But even being a work in progress, my heart overflows truly with this community and the love and the goodness. It is hard to stay too mad or too frustrated or feeling too limited or too small when you are truly surrounded with such grandness of hearts. So I do thank you for that. And I have to show out of nowhere, I had a friend, a chaplain, Chaplain Joseph, that was in our church, 10 years ago. Out of nowhere, I got a box in the mail that had this proclamation that says, "Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, in honor of Reverend Sue Meixner, her love of family, friends, and flock. I honor you, your presence, your omnipresence. Om Namah Shivaya. Love, Joseph." With this lovely angels gather when friends are near.
Oh, that's nice.
None of this after my father's passing, all of this before. And just to really hit the message home, he got his little minion doll and he wrote, "Sparky says, I love you." And had it all fixed up so I could yoo-hoo!
Oh, cute.
Now, I have learned on this journey many times, it makes a difference how much time, attention, and emotion we spend on this, and we spend on, I drove to Brandon 3 times in a row. Which one do you think got more attention?
Yes.
That's our journey, my friends. This tune that we're singing all the time. A Course in Miracles teaches there is only love. This is how God keeps the kingdom perfectly ordered and unified. God never varies. And that's why there is one state of being, love, and one reality, peace. But we fluctuate. It's part of our human journey as we discover and learn to live the truth of who we are. We have faith and we have doubt. We're certain and then we question. We're confident and we're confused. We're exhilarated and then we're deflated. We're up and we're down and we're happy and we're sad. Our thoughts and our beliefs vary. And that's why we have different feelings. And because of the law of attraction in the universe, that's why we have different experiential realities. And many of us have learned to try to protect ourselves from our challenges, from our situations in our lives and in our worlds, instead of learning to surrender to the truth and the love that's within us. And by surrender, I don't mean ignoring our challenges or denying our ouches. I mean giving up the anguish of the self-bantering. Giving up the working it over and over and over again. I'm not suggesting that we deny what is. I'm recommending that we deny that there's anything wrong with it. Or that there's anything wrong with us because we're experiencing it. Our present challenges, no matter how many trips to Brandon for the computer, no matter how many times I said, I have 6 laptops. There's literally 6 laptops in this house and I can't get one to work. No matter how many times we focus on our challenges, our experience are nothing more than echoes of the past. They're just ideas and beliefs and heart tunes that we once held. Granted, they're not the echoes we want to leave in the universe as part of our legacy, but our lives are not now, nor were they ever poisoned by our echoes of the past. They are always governed by our present moment, and they have unlimited promise in the future. No one can change the sound of an echo, but everyone can change their tune in the present moment. So we constantly come back to love and law, the two defining fundamentals of our belief system. Love gives, law governs, and free will chooses. My father taught me love and law. He had a very big and positive influence on my life. I am who I am because of him. He's the one who, when I got F's on my report card, threw it aside and say, grades do not measure someone's intelligence. How many people got that instead of grounding? My father believed in me, he believed in everybody. He saw the good in everybody. I remember one time, I think I shared this story before, but I was a little teeny bopper driving the car for the first time down at McDonald's where we all hung out. And I was about to do something bad that I wasn't supposed to, so now knowing the law, I understand why I was instantly punished. But I was going to go on a motorcycle ride. And my mother was petrified of motorcycles, and she said, if you ever get on a motorcycle, if it doesn't kill you, I will. But some cute guy asked me if I wanted to go for a ride, and I was like, all in for that. So I gave my girlfriend, she wasn't 16, but I gave her my car keys so she could turn on the radio, because that's what you do there. And put on my new helmet, and all of a sudden here I could crash. And I turn around, and there's my car down at the bottom of the hill, over the curb, lopsided. And I'm like, what? And she was like, I was just going to move it down by everybody, and I hit the gas instead of the brake. And you could see the axle hanging out over the curb, and everybody's going, Meitzner, your father's going to kill you. You're in big trouble. And the police were coming, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't want to lie and say I did it because I didn't do it. And I didn't know what consequences I would have. And I didn't want to say my friend did it. She was underage. She's not allowed to drive. So like any self-respecting teeny bopper, I ran and hid in the bathroom and called my father, like, please, you have to come help me. You can kill me later. And everybody, nobody's leaving McDonald's now. It's showtime coming up. Everybody's hanging out. And the police are there, and I don't come out of the bathroom until I see my father's car pull in. He pulls right up beside it, and he gets out of his car with his little, toolbox, and puts it down the ground, and gets underneath the car and goes, yep, that's not going anywhere. He gets out and shakes his hands with the police and introduces himself and calls the tow truck and has the car taken away, and didn't really talk to me, but, friendly with everybody. And then when it's all done and my heart's about to jump out of my chest, he comes up to me and goes, do you want to ride home? I was like, no, I'm good. He pulled out his wallet, do you need money? I was like, no, I got money, I'm good. He said, okay, see you at home, honey. And he got in his car and left.
Oh.
And everybody's like, Mike, you're so spoiled, rotten, how'd you get away with that? And then the next week on my birthday, I got a framed copy of the bill that I could pay off over time. Love and law.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. The love is always there in a giving and caring and supportive way. But the law will always produce consequences that match the energy and the choices that you choose. Love and law. We can't escape the consequences of our choices. But we neither need to keep choosing them, nor beating ourselves up because we've made them. Instead, we can use an undesirable experience or circumstance to serve as a potential spiritual awakening if we listen to the call, if we listen to the message. And if we don't, the law will turn up the undesirable circumstances, both in frequency and intensity, until we hear and until we obey. What's the saying? God leads those that follow and drags those that don't. Because that's the universe we live in. Love is our nature. Anything that we're doing that is outside of the truth of who we are and that draws circumstances like that are not the truth of who we are will multiply until we just simply cannot stand it anymore and we begin to make a shift. That's why there is hope for each one of us and for our world and for our universe. Again, thanks to free will, an infinite God and an infallible law can and will multiply and expand darkness as easily and as assuredly as it will expand and multiply light. Alan Cohen, one of my favorite gurus, calls this a rude awakening. The darkness, the dark ideas that we've chosen to hold in our mind, that we've allowed to infiltrate our heart, that we've allowed to affect our activity. This can be used as an awakening. And he calls it a rude awakening. He also liked to say, hey, we get the rude part, now where's the awakening? Because we have a tendency to stay in the tell the story about the laptops and how many times we went, where's the awakening part? Where are we using it to call us to the truth of who we are? We awaken when we listen to this call and we refuse to keep telling the same story of woe. Because darkness can reach no further and do no more harm than our mindset, than our heart palpitations, than our activities allow it to go. So why do we so repeatedly and persistently dwell on our undesirable circumstances and beat ourselves up so much? This is just an echo of past learning, conditioning. We developed a habit of telling stories that justify and explain why we're here, not where we're going. We don't tell stories about what we want and how we see ourselves growing and expanding. We tell stories about why I'm dealing with what I'm dealing right now. Abraham Hicks called it reverse creating. Instead of telling a story that would lead us to getting over there where I want to be, over there where I would prefer to be, over there where I know it's the truth and I know it's available to me, we tell the story and explain why I'm standing here, how we got here, why we don't like being here, even though it doesn't have to be that way if we tell a different story. We just are conditioned and habitually go to that place of conversation. So if we want our lives to be better, if we want the world to be a better place, we have to be a better person in it. Meaning we have to be closer to the truth of who we are. Why? Because the world is made up of the people that live in it. And that means us. And if our beliefs about God and grace and good being the truth of who we are, if they don't become a reality or an experience, it's because our mindset isn't focused over there where we want to grow into, but here where we're not. Our mindset, our conversation, our activity must be focused on this truth, or else our belief system simply remains a philosophy. We don't want it to be a philosophy. We want it to be a way of life. We don't want it to be a philosophy. We want it to be our legacy. I want my legacy, my echo for being here on this earthly journey to be one of love. Not one of, well, there's somebody who was frustrated and she worked hard and she was frustrated that she worked and she didn't. No. But that's the story I tell too often. So we need to tell our true story. So my friends, your mission, if you so choose to accept it, is to accept that the echoes of our journey cannot be changed. Meaning, the challenges you face right now, the experiences you have right now, they cannot be changed. They are echoes of the past. They are who we were. They were put into creation by our thoughts, by our beliefs, by our feelings, by our activities, prior to this moment we call here and now. And it is impossible for you or anyone to change them. That is the absoluteness of the law. But everyone can accept those challenges, can learn from mistakes, and can allow love and life to unfold even though we're in the midst of these circumstances. So stop talking about the undesirable echoes of our past, our emotional upheavals, our unfulfilled desires, our disappointments and our dissatisfactions and our mistreatments as our failing or our falling from grace somehow. And instead, talk about the truth of love always being our potential in the very present moment. That's why we're here. That is our mission. That's what we're here to accomplish. And when we do this, any anguish in the present will be overcome. And love will be our legacy. It will be the echo that we are radiating out into the universe. It will be our soul signature. This is the wonder of a loving creator, the assurance of an exacting law, and the gift of free will. So, accept our echoes. Nobody can change them, but we can change our present tune. We can't go back and make a new start, but we can start now and make a new ending. We are the people, now is the time, and this is the way. Namaste, Enlightenment.